Hello, I'm Moose here with an early guide on the boss rush mode. I've been rewatching the footage multiple times over and over to try and understand fully how the boss rush is going to work and what kind of teams we can put together, which I put together two teams, which I think, at least in the current standards of everything we know about boss rush, will be the best. I'm going to go over a couple mechanics, which I think I've noticed when watching it. So one thing is to notice that when the bosses actually reach half-life, I'm going to show you right here, you go from level 3 to 5. So you start at 3, right? When you get the boss to half, you get 2 levels. When you finish a boss, you get another 2 levels. So if we skip ahead a little bit in the footage shown, level 5, and then when it cuts off to Avalok still being alive to Zapdos not being half, when Avalok died, gave another 2 levels. You get a little bit of passive XP that probably won't matter though. And here when they get Zapdos to half, everyone gets level 9, and then basically everyone gets their unites because you either get unite at 8 or 9. So now everybody has unites. Now it's very important. Also, rewatching the footage, you can see they use fluffy tails on it. So the meta is probably going to be 5 fluffy tails because of the fluffy tail scaling. You see here the fluffy tail does 100% of attack, 60% of special attack, plus 10 times the level. It's a little bit, it matters, plus 100. That's like really good early game to help you push to the first evolve, second evolve. Basically, this is going to be a mandatory item for pushing if you want to try hard this mode. X attack, I thought X attack was going to be the way until I noticed Fluffy worked on the boss. Fluffy will be active for a couple seconds. It only works for you, doesn't work for everybody. But each individual person or player has some pretty good scaling. You know, lots of special attackers can get up to 1,000 special attack. Once they get their evolved, they usually get a big jump in special attack. That's going to be really important to take into consideration. Muscle band and everything like that. I think how I watched the footage, each individual bar would be like a full life bar for like muscle band or Garchomp or something like that. So that way it's not too broken where Garchomp isn't doing like 10% a hit for a while until it gets low, you know. No, each bar actually is what is affected by muscle band or percent damaging effects and execute effects, I think. So executes aren't as strong, the percent damages aren't as strong, but they're still nice to just get that early bump down. So it might be kind of like a Garchomp does a bunch of damage, and then everybody uses their abilities to get the bar down one, and then Garchomp does a bunch of damage. Everybody uses their abilities to get the bar down another level. It could be kind of sort of like that as a meta, but I have the tier list here that I made. These characters just don't too much damage, or they come on too long, too late. Eldegoss kind of actually does do good damage early, but some of that damage is from return damage of getting hit, and you probably don't want to get hit. As Eldegoss, Swine, some of his moves probably won't be too good against Avalok. You know, it doesn't, or like the bosses doesn't look like you could really CC them. Mr. Mike, you won't be able to confusion them. You'd have to go like Garchomp Psychic, and it's okay. You know, it's okay, but there's better at player characters you can use, like for sure. And Hoopa, unless Trick Muscle Band is really really strong, I don't think you're gonna see any Hoopa. And these two characters are too late of a Bluma. Delphox, Zerora, they get their abilities maybe a little bit too late, or the early game just won't be able to do enough initial push. And with Fire Spin, you know, you're not really going to get any benefit from that. You can go to dash attack where you get like a bit of extra damage, but I think there's also better special attackers than Delphox. Her ult, though, could be really good because you get a lot of ticks off her ult. So I could actually be wrong on this prediction, and I could. Delphox might actually be in fantastic tier based on how fast people can get the evolutions up. Greedent, I kind of really thought about Greedent. I had some discussion with it from a couple people. I don't think Greedent is gonna be fantastic. You have to fully kill the first boss for him to get his first damaging ability. So it's gonna matter how fast you can kill the first boss for a lot of these characters. But some of them at least have a bit more early game to dictate and make that better. Talonflame, you know, he gets his main ability at 7, so it's a bit late, but he doesn't have bad damage per se. Doesn't have any way to really reset his cooldowns either, so I don't think that's going to be too good. Espeon, in its high burst, I think there's a place for Espeon, since you only have to get the boss to half for her to get her main damaging ability. I don't think Sword Power is going to be the way it's going to be Psyshock. We'll have to see when it fully comes out. Future Sight might be alright though. I mean, execute damage is still execute damage, you know? Or Psybeam seems like it might hit really hard with the percent bonuses too, so we'll see how that works. Blastoise, Not really, water spin. If it was older Blastoise, yes, he'd probably be in fantastic. But where he is now, he does some okay damage. He's not bad. Cressel, um, actually Cressel, my bad. It goes in fantastic because of Stealth Rocks. You do have to beat the first boss fully to get the Stealth Rocks, but once he's in Stealth Rock mode, he's gonna be going. He's gonna be chipping away at the boss and really helping Garchomp deal damage, which I think is probably the best in this mode. Let's be honest. Slowbro, uh, he can be good. Scald does some really good damage, and if it also reduces the damage that the boss deals, he could be like a good debuffer. But as of this moment, we're not too sure what damage type the bosses will be dealing, so we'll have to wait and see. Are they all special attack damage? Are they attack damage? Is it random? Is it just like alternating? We don't know. Pikachu, Pikachu kind of doesn't deal enough consistent damage. He does have good burst, but his burst is probably not really what this mode is about. It's just like short here and there bursts. He could be okay though, based on how well the execute damage does, and we'll see how that goes with the Thunderball. Lucario, sorry Lucario, I just think there's better characters than you. He's really just gonna kind of be there. He doesn't have any way to stack, so he doesn't get some insane scaling. Close combat will still deal good damage, but without a way to really get the cooldowns back faster. He could power punch, close combat power punch later on, but is that really going to be better than like Aegislash doing metric shit tons of damage just repeatedly over and over, alternating between the skills? I don't know. We'll have to see. His ult could be good though, as long as you're always getting the 4 ticks of ult, it could be good. Snorlax, Flaillax might be viable potentially, because you can basically be like the tank once you get, when you get to 5, getting the first boss down to half, you're gonna get the flail, and then you can start punching. Just manage your health, always be low health, and you get that massive boost damage. And then once you get to flail plus, you basically lifesteal your own health. So you don't even need a support at that point. You just start punching away, and you're just constantly punching away, and you can block to gain a low shield, and like whatever the boss does, like a big guaranteed hit attack, you can do the block and basically just nullify with the extra defenses. So he could be good. It's based on how well he's going to be able to lifesteal and how fast you can really get up there. But I can see this character actually being pretty much somewhere in fantastic tier for sure. And Venusaur, I think Venusaur is in fantastic. Once he gets on, it's kind of like Flailx. Once he gets going with the Giga Drains, he's basically going to be able to tank the boss, per se. I think how the boss functions is going to be like consistent damage, then some dodgeable damage, consistent damage, dodgeable damage. It's going to like go between those cycles, different dodgeable damage, different attacks. And as long as, Venusaur's going to be quick with Petal Dance, so he's going to be able to dodge, and he'll be fine. Like, this character's going to be pretty good. Russell, of course, Stealth Rocks. He gets it at after the first boss dies, but that's okay. Once he gets Stealth Rocks, he's going to be doing a lot of damage, since every tick will hit of the boss. He won't be able to, lots of these characters won't be able to stack, and that's where a lot of their damage actually comes from. Getting a bunch of stacks early and then having way ridiculous scaling, but he's going to be good with Fluffy Tail. He's going to be able to get most of ticks off on Fluffy Tail. Absol's going to be really good with Pursuit. The boss, when he has to get that, the first boss has to get to half, he's going to have Pursuit, and he could just always get back hits. Back hit, back hit, back hit, back hit. Always reset, because it'll be Garchomp, Snorlax, someone will be in the front tanking. Honestly, I'm going to bump him up to fantastic. I think I've talked about him enough. And Absol, of course, once he gets Psycho's going to be nerfed a bit, but from what I've read, he's not going to fully get removed on like how it worked. So you're going to be able to Psycho Cut, Pursuit, and you're going to be able to get so much damage off very quickly. So I think the best Absol player is potentially like up with the Garchomp player, but it's going to take a team to be able to always, have the focus and keep Absol getting the back hits, like kind of like a rogue from maybe World of Warcraft or something, always getting the back hits, always having a team to support and make sure the boss is always focused aggro somewhere else. Trevenant, he's going to be good. Maybe not better than Snorlax, because Snorlax might do more damage, but Trevenant's going to be able to tank for sure. That's what he's about. He's just a drain tank, essentially. And with curse scaling, he's going to be all right once he gets going. Hopefully the damage he hurts himself with won't be greater. Blissey, of course, Blissey, healing, helping hand. one of the teams I revised has Blissey on it with an attacker focused team that all benefit from Helping Hand. So a team that can basically get the Helping Hand buffs, go crazy, come back, get the Helping Hand buffs on rotation, just spread out so that way everyone doesn't take damage. And she's gonna be really good. Also, you don't deal damage if you're dead. You always gotta consider that. You don't do damage if you're dead. So even if the death timers aren't very long, having dead teammates isn't good. So I think it'll outweigh it. There might be potential for like a team that all has lifesteal or ways to heal enough to the point where you won't need a Blissey. We'll have to see how that comes out. Serena, Serena, of course, once she gets going, Stomp, she's going to be life stealing. She's going to do a lot of damage. Triple Axle might be better because Triple Axle gives that attack speed buff, and then you can go like crit focus maybe. So you go like Fluffy Tail, Muscle, double crit like Razor Scope, and then you're just constantly wailing away. Make sure your Queen's Majesty is used on Triple Axle for the healing. I could see it being alright. You know, it'll be good. Dumeril, I think Aquatail with the buffs on the PTR will be good. It seems like they brought back a lot of his damage on Aquatail. Whirlpool could be okay too, based on how many hits you can get with the Whirlpool on the big targets. You know, we'll have to see how that comes out. I think Azumarill, once he gets ult going, he's going to do a lot of damage. He's going to be like very burst focused. But he's also very consistent earlier on too. Maybe not until he evolves, but you know, some of these Pokemon are like late game scaling. Will be the one we'll have to see the benefits of having how many early game Pokemon, how many late game Pokemon, and then maybe some Pokemon that can support them. That'll be essentially the meta for this mode and how far people can push the game. Cramorant, Cramorant's going to be Air Slash. Once he gets Air Slash at 4, well, you'll hit 5. He's just going to be able to keep resetting Air Slash, and once Air Slash gets plus, he's going to be a life stealer. And honestly, he heals a lot from Air Slash, so he's going to be able to tank as well. He could be like an off tank kind of once he gets going. I assume the late bosses are going to deal immense damage, so having somebody that can heal themselves, so Blissey can focus on maybe the ones that can't heal, will be very good. Machamp, he deals very high damage even early on, you know, with the auto, karate chop, whatever it is when he starts out, auto. So that, you know, if he goes like a crit build, he doesn't have to go any attack really, maybe weakness policy. I don't know. We'll have to see how the game works. But he does very high damage, and later in the game, he's got to wait like 3 ways to buff his attack or something like that. So he's going to be able to do pretty good damage. And not too much lifesteal, but that's okay. There'll be a Blissey. Aegislash, he has ways to sustain and also ways to deal a lot of damage in sword mode. So he's going to be able to tank as well. But also, instead of Trevenant, he's going to be dealing more damage, I think. So I think that's why he'll be a bit of a better pick than Trevenant. But he still has the Wide Guard or Iron Head, whichever way you want to go about doing the other move. I think Sacred Sword probably the way. It's possible Shadow Claw could be good too, because once you get a plus, you know, he gets more crit. So crit is obviously good if you want to go for like a crit focused team and just try to RNG the boss, you know, get for the fastest time. Charizard, I think Charizard's gonna be broken because as long as you're under half life, he gets that additional double. He basically doubles his crit, I think. I remember. So as long as you know you're constantly managing your life as Charizard, and Blissey doesn't like in a 5-stack, if we're doing boss rush 5 stacks, Blissey can just make sure she only eggs Charizard at like 30%, just to make sure that Charizard always has the maximum damage he's dealing, and he deals a lot of damage. I think Fire Punch might be the way, because I think Fire Punch will get faster resets when you're autoing too. If you're going to Flamethrower, there'll be a slight bit of downtime, but with Fire Punch, you're going to be constantly keeping that flame effect on the boss, so you deal that extra damage too. That's very important. His Unite's pretty good damage as well, so it's not bad. Greninja, I think Greninja's going to be very good because of his melee autos, and because he also has lifesteal, so he's just going to sit on top of the boss and just attack away until the game is over. Probably, I'd imagine he goes Water Shuriken, since I think that'll deal more damage, and you're not really executing anything. So Water Shuriken will give him that big healing, and then he'll be autoing a bunch, and then Water Shuriken auto a bunch. It's going to be kind of stagnant gameplay, but I think he's going to be very strong because of the execute damage on his melee attacks, based on how much that'll affect the meta for boss rush. You have Dragonite. Dragonite's going to be pretty good because Outrage does a shit ton of damage. A good person who cycles Outrage with Dragon Dance is really strong. He also has Hyper Beam, so he could also just be Hyper Beaming specific segments of the HP bar, so everyone deals more damage on the next HP bar, with all the percent damage and stuff. So we'll have to see how Dragonite plays. I'm personally probably going to play Dragonite without Rage. It seems like it's going to be really fun. Gengar is going to be pretty damn good with the Sludge Bomb build. I assume you can status effect the boss. If not, that kind of sucks because then he can't go with is it Hex, if I remember right, back in the days of Season 1. But I think he's going to be really strong because as long as something is status effect, he could just Hex. He's going to infinite Hex bot. And I think he's going to be strong potentially with someone who can permanently do status effects, maybe like Cinderace. We'll have to see. I'm sure there's going to be a solo queue version of Boss Rush, quick battles, and then the big team effect version of it. And then you have the debuffers or buffs section of this tier list, who are also fantastic in their own way. Sylveon is disgusting. She gets 80% rip on defenses. I just want to show you with Hyper Beam. She's not going to go Fire. She's going to go Hyper Voice. It is up to 80% special defense rip. That is insane. I assume bosses are going to have defenses. Getting rid of that defenses and making it like really small, that's going to be more damage for the team than a lot of other things can be. And I think that's something that's going to be very important. And then she also gets, Hyper Plus later on. So she's going to be really strong. And she also got that Spell Vamp. So she's going to be constantly hitting max damage Hyper Voices with her passive always up because she'll just auto once between Hyper Voices. This character is going to be insane for this mode. God of War also similar to that. I just revealed a little spoiler there. Sorry about that. With the Psychic at 7. It's a little later, but same deal. Special defense rip up to 60%. So I don't know exactly how those two will function together. But if it rips all of the defenses, essentially brings it to 0, that could be pretty good. On the other side, though, we have the Decidueye with Shadow Sneak, dealing 60% or 80% attack rip. So that's also something to consider too. He gets it at 8, so it'll be after the first boss and halfway through the second boss is when he'll get that. But I think Razor Leaf Decidueye is going to be broken with how fast he's attacking, how much he's just cycling with his defense rip, and how much current health percent damage he does, and also how much just raw attack he'll be doing with Razor Leaf. It's going to be pretty nutty. A9 is more of the support focused, where based on how much damage the bosses are doing, Bale's going to be really strong. That 30% DR, really strong. Based on if the bosses get really ridiculous, really late into it, Bale Plus will be 35%. So we'll have to see. But having that tool is automatically making her a pretty good pick. Of course, we have Clefable. Don't have to even talk about that character. Stupid character. Cinderace, I think, is in its own tier with Garchomp because Cinderace, based on the passive, constantly doing a bunch of max health damage. It's not going to function exactly like how we think it will. It'll still be by bars, but Blaze Kick is it mainly Blaze Kick plus that extra attack speed with how fast she's going to be autoing. You can go Faint too, just to dodge a bunch of stuff. This character is going to be very good for this mode. That's all I have to say, really. Everyone knows Cinderace, what she does. She hits A really hard. Garchomp's going to be the best tank for this mode, I think. He's got lifesteal. He's always going to have his stacks up. He's just going to constantly hit A. He's going to absorb and draw focus for the rest of the team. He's going to be broken. Honestly. Unless you can't lifesteal in this mode, then this whole tier list is basically null and valid. But let's talk about the teams. There's one thing I actually considered recently. Is what if you could only have 4-person teams because it's going to be quick battles? So I might have screwed up in this tier list. If that's the case, we can quickly change that. So Team Physical has Garchomp, Greninja, Decidueye, Cinderace, and Blissey. This team is focused on Helping Hand, specifically. So basically just a bunch of burn characters using Helping Hand to give them all a bunch of attack speed. Later on, also Helping Hand Plus gives 15% basic attack damage. So you're getting the attack speed and attack damage. All these characters love Helping Hand. So it's going to be very quick boss burn. Then, of course, they're all attackers, so they start out pretty good. It's not bad. They're all not bad. And in this team special attack team, though, I think this one might be a little above Team Physical. The tank in this case is Venu and Gengar, both being like they'll kind of swap in and out, be like an off tank and main tank from like World of Warcraft. They'll just constantly try and keep aggro between one another, so they heal. The other one goes in, heals. That's how I kind of see it with the team. And then the Alolan has really high damage with Fail, but also because Sylveon and Gardevoir will be reducing special attack, so special defense. So Veil's gonna hit for ridiculous numbers with the boosted, and then also, you can see how the team works. Reduce defenses. The others do a bunch of damage. It makes sense. And then Cleafables are obviously in a tier on its own. So I'll have to see how it plays out. I'm very interested to see how it works out. If there is only 4 character teams, this is probably how I would do it, I think. Something like that. If there's only 4 character teams, I'd probably do the 2 teams like that. Just so that way you still have all the damage and the debuffers and the tanks. They all have lifesteal except for Gardevoir. That's fine. Just, you're going to be playing pretty far back. If Future Sight resets too, that's insane. Like if they make it so Future Sight will just come back off cooldown, which I don't think they will, this character is like god tier. But we'll see how it works out. Thank you very much for watching.